The automotive field is just not limited to design, engineering, and technology. There are several other fields that get overshadowed by the cool things in the automotive field, and these fields are very significant. One of those fields is car finance, which many people, including me, don't have knowledge about. That's why today we have with us Gavin Cameron, who is a car finance expert along with being the builder of Car Buying Guru. He has had experience in this field after working as a business manager in the used car department of one of the biggest dealership franchises in Europe. So we have tried to break down his journey with working in dealership and building Car Buying Guru on this episode of Shift with Motordrift. So welcome, Gavin. Glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So my first question for you is, like, were you into cars while you were growing up, or like, did you ever develop interest in them later in life?
Um, no, I'll be honest. I never really had a major interest in cars. I like nice cars,
Mm,
but never really had an interest in like taking them apart and putting them back
mm,
together. Never
yeah,
really watched Formula One. Um, yeah, so a lot of people think that because you are in car sales that you got a lot of interest in actual cars,
mm,
and that's not really the truth. The truth, in fact, working in the industry is that majority of the people that are really passionate and car enthusiasts, they tend to be like the engineers and the mechanics.
yeah,
They work in the garage and put them back together. Whereas us lot in the sales, we like nice cars, but 9 times out of 10,
mm,
they're just a car. They're just a vehicle to the money is the
yeah,
pun that I use.
yeah. Now, when and how did you enter this dealership franchisee?
Franchise, which one? Sorry.
Um, I I read that like you entered one of the biggest used car departments as a
Oh, you're
business
talking about
manager.
Evans Houshaw.
Yeah.
Evans Houshaw, yeah. So um, I actually started off with a company called Trust Ford,
Ach,
um,
okay.
which is actually owned by Ford themselves. They're not a
Mm,
franchise.
yeah.
Selling cars on the phone, and it was only getting paid like £10 a car, which is nothing. It's pennies.
Mm,
When you get into the industry, you start to understand that there is a lot of
yeah.
money that can be made from selling cars. So
Yeah.
whilst I was doing that over the phone, they sent me on a training course, and on the training course, I was with guys that were actually in the dealerships, and they
Mm,
were telling me how great I'd be in a dealership. I'd kill it in a dealership. I need to get into a dealership ASAP.
mm,
I'm losing out on so much money, etc., etc.
mm,
So I was like, it's a no-brainer. I need to get into this dealership. I need to start making as much money as possible.
mm,
Um, Tried to stay within Trust Ford, but
mm,
politics meant that I couldn't.
mm,
So I ended up moving to Evans Houshaw.
mm,
I got an opportunity. My manager at the time, Joe,
mm,
gave me an opportunity, no experience or anything really in the dealership, but he saw what I could potentially be.
mm,
And yeah, man, December 2020, 2012 is when I first stepped into the dealership.
mm,
Um, and the rest is history, as they say.
mm. And how was your experience of like working as a business manager for this dealership? How was the experience?
I started off as a sales executive, and
Mm,
then I think I was a year in, a lot of movement, let's call it,
yeah.
within the structure of the business. An opportunity came, and I was
Mm,
still quite new to the business at that point. Um, and a lot of people, including like the main manager in the business, didn't think I had it in me
mm,
to become a business manager, because your job as a business manager is to make sure that as much profit as possible is made. And
yeah.
it's quite a pressurized job, to be honest with you. I'd probably
Mm,
say in the dealership is probably the worst job you can have in the sales department,
mm,
because you got to make sure all the sales team, you have a sales team of like 10, um, are all doing their job. The sales leaders sat back putting pressure on you to make sure everyone's doing their job, and the DP or dealer principals they're known is putting pressure on you.
mm,
And your sole focus is just to sell as many cars as possible, make as much money as possible.
mm,
Um, so it was it was an experience that was like, it kind of, I think it built me to where I am now.
mm,
It definitely made me understand the finance side of things a lot better.
mm,
Um, the resilience of having starting off with a really bad month or a bad quarter and
mm,
having to pull it back. Being able to see how much money can be made within the
mm,
business without necessarily having to rip people off.
yeah.
So yeah, it is an amazing experience. I got a great team. some of the guys I worked with, I'm still
Mm.
friends with now on WhatsApp groups, football banter and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, man, it's I wouldn't change it for the world. It's probably the best job I had, if I'm being honest, as far as like experience goes and what I learned and how it changed my life. It was
Yeah,
definitely up there.
it taught you a lot.
It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about the motor trade,
Mm.
um, and life itself. Yeah, man, definitely. Didn't realize it at the time, but definitely looking
Mm.
back,
Yeah.
it molded me to where I am now. Definitely.
Mm. And like, how did the idea of, like creating something like car buying guru came to your mind? Like, what was the inspiration for it?
Um, there was a I felt like there was a glass ceiling above me within the business of Evans
Yeah.
Houseshaw. As
Mm.
great as it was, there was also some politics, meaning I couldn't go any further within the business. I couldn't grow as much as I wanted to.
Mm.
Um, so I wanted to work for myself, and I always wanted to leave. And then my business partner made the suggestion of me going into leasing,
Mm.
using my experience in the motor trade to go into leasing. Because I was originally looking at doing like digital marketing,
Mm.
but he just sparked an idea, and it kind of went from there. And as it developed, it was meant to be just a leasing company, a leasing franchise. It was going to franchise it from a guy based up north of England. He was
Mm.
going to have the franchise and just sell cars through his connections. But the more and more, well, he wasn't great. The franchise system he had wasn't great. Number one, and number two, the more and more I looked at the situation of where I was coming from and the people I was speaking to, I realized that it had to be more than just selling cars, and there was an opportunity to really change the way that the motor trade was. And
Mm.
yeah, Car Buying Guru, we purposely went out to help advise people, try and give them a better understanding of buying cars, and just have a whole different approach
Mm.
to the sales process of selling cars. Digital dealerships doing it all online, which wasn't popular.
Mm.
The pandemic obviously made that really popular, and before that, it started to creep in slowly.
Yeah.
But when we started in 2017, people were laughing at us and laughing at me in particular because I'm coming from the motor trade, and people say you're never going to be able to sell cars over the internet. Now look, everyone's buying cars on the
Mm.
internet, so it's yeah, it's been a journey, but I think it's had different chapters in it, and we're still building. We've got lots to come in the next few months.
Yeah. Everyone laughs, and like when the initial idea kicks in, but when they start seeing that like things are working out for you, they then ask you that how did you do
Yeah,
it?
exactly,
That's how it
exactly.
always works.
Yeah.
Now, how does a person avoid making poor car buying decisions?
By contacting Car Buying Guru, going on carbuyingguru.co.uk. That's the best way to do it. No, I mean you just got to do a lot of research, and
Mm.
if you have got the time, that's the thing with us. We help save people time. A lot of people haven't got time to do all the research and all the shopping around, so that's
Mm.
what we do. That's what our business model is, I guess. But if you do have the time and you
Mm.
are interested in learning more, you can just go online and take your time. A lot of people and this is a problem. Car enthusiasts, especially, or people that just want to buy a car, they just want to get it out of the way. It's a bit of a chore. They
Mm.
just go out and they rush, and then they walk into a dealership. And not everybody. I mean, I don't want to give all my peers in the industry a bad rep, but there's a lot of sharks out there. And if you walk into a dealership with your wallet in your hand saying, "I need to buy a car today," um, they'll sell you a car. It might not be the right one for you. It might not be in
Mm.
the right package for you, etc. They're definitely not going to give you a load of information
Mm.
because that might be too much education for you to
Yeah.
then make a decision that doesn't favor them.
Mm.
So they'll guide you down the path that they want to take you, but to
Mm.
avoid that, to avoid being put into something that it's not necessarily right for you, just do a bit of research, read some
Mm.
blogs. Um, and it is a shameless plug, but platforms like ours, even if you don't necessarily buy a car from us,
Mm.
we give you videos, we're giving you content, we've got ebooks. I've got an ebook out, I've got another one coming out. Um, and there's things like that that are out there, not so
Mm.
much as it should be, but there are things out there that will help you make the right decision. But the main thing to remember is when you're being sold a car, is that no one size fits all,
Mm.
because dealers will make you think that that is the case. So you need to
Yeah.
make sure that whatever you're getting into, both the vehicle and if you go for a finance package,
Mm.
are right for you as an individual and not just what is hot at the moment.
Yeah, like people should like buy cars like being aware of their financial condition and all, because I've seen
Exactly.
people like buying cars which are just just much more expensive than the ones they can afford, and then they later cry
Exactly.
about the loans that they have and the debts that they have to like give.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's ridiculous, really. I mean, we all like a nice car, but
Hmm,
at the end of the day, it's still a car. It depreciates. You're probably gonna get
exactly.
bored of it.
Hmm,
You might buy a small coupe, and then your family extends, and you need to get a bigger car. You need to
hmm.
really think about what you're doing and how your life's set up, and before you make a final decision on these things.
Exactly. The moment you drive the car off the dealership, its value probably depreciates about 50%.
Yeah, on a lot of cars. Yeah, I mean, the newer cars.
Hmm,
In the UK, you got VAT, which you're never going to get that back if you sell a car
hmm,
as a used car. Um, and once the warranty starts running out, the depreciation flies. In the first few years of a car's existence, that's when it loses
hmm.
the most money.
Yeah. In the first 5 years, I guess. In the first.
I think it's the first three. I
Hmm,
think it's the first three, maybe even the first two. Fifteen
hmm.
percent of it is lost very early on in its existence.
Oh. Now, can you explain the decision of someone buying a car with a poor credit rating?
Um, the whole process, or
Yeah, the whole process. It would be great.
I can try. I've like I said, my ebook's actually about that, so it's probably going to be out by the time this comes out. But I'll send you a link so you can
Hmm,
down below and whatever. But
yeah.
the book's called "So You Want to Buy a Car um, with Poor Credit,"
Hmm,
um, and the process it can be quite a daunting one. But the main thing I'd say at the beginning of the process is don't worry and make sure you remember that it's not the end of the world.
yeah.
You can actually fix your credit by having a car on finance.
Hmm,
Um, but again, like we just touched on, you got to make sure the decision's right for yourself. Because once you go through the process, you might find a company that's able to acquire you finance. You get your finance,
hmm,
you got your finance in place. You're then able to start looking for the car. And
hmm,
when you start searching for a vehicle, you need to make sure that you're not just buying the best. Like I always get it. Like someone will say to me, "I just want a car, I want any car, but I've
hmm,
got poor credit." I get them accepted. And as soon as I get them accepted, they didn't want a Mercedes
hmm,
or they want a Range Rover, and it's like
hmm.
you're going to get yourself into more trouble because the interest rate's going to be high.
Exactly.
That's part of the deal.
Hmm,
Because you got poor credit, the interest rate is going to be high. So with
hmm,
you having a high interest rate, you're you're going to then have to understand that your payments are going to be high.
hmm,
Um, and with that all putting together, you're going to end up having a situation where if the car breaks down, you're going to have to pay more, or you're going to have to go into an older car to
hmm,
afford the payment. Um, or you're simply going to have a car that is decent, but you're not going to be able to afford the payments, and you're then going to be in a position where you're going to be falling into further credit issues, and you're never going to get out of it for the sake that you wanted to have a Mercedes over a Ford, for instance.
hmm.
So just be sensible. Be sensible with your purchase. Don't get nothing crazy, um, and go from there.
Yeah. Because everybody like likes to have a Lamborghini, but in reality they can only afford a Ford maybe.
Well, exactly that's what I'm saying, and it's crazy. People say what they want, but it's like, well, that's fine. What,
Hmm,
I want a 6 bedroom house in the country, but I'm not really there yet, so I need to
yeah,
settle for what I've got. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Um,
You
it's just it's no different with cars. You just need to. It's
hmm,
weird though. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like people will come in and ask, or they'll call up and they'll ask about cars that like, oh, like you use the Lamborghini for instance. People are like, how much is a Lamborghini, whatever. And I'm like, you wouldn't go into a estate agent and ask how much Buckingham Palace is.
hmm,
You wouldn't because you just know you can't afford it. So why do people think that with cars it's any different? The car it is what it is. These like the Mercedes, like I said, the BMWs, the Audis, the Land Rovers of the world. They're a certain level of vehicle. I remember when you
hmm,
couldn't really see them. You didn't see many of these cars on the road.
hmm,
They are becoming more popular now, so people think they're more accessible, but they're still expensive cars. They're not cheap just
exactly.
because there's more. It just means that there's more people making enough money to afford them, not that they're
Mm.
more affordable, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just my main thing. If you got poor credit, the main thing I'd say is just be sensible. Think about what you're doing. Think about the long-term effect it can have, and
Mm.
just try and get yourself out of the situation where you got poor credit, and then get what you really want, as opposed to trying to get what you really want without trying to fix your credit history.
Yeah, like be fully aware of the situation you are in, and then yeah, like it's okay to like desire a nice car. You just have to like put your mindset in and just work towards buying that car ultimately, even if
Exactly,
you are
and like
not
I
able
said,
to buy it at the moment.
if you do it the right way, you can actually end up getting yourself um, into the car you want eventually anyway. But not only that, but you end up doing it and improving your credit rating, which will potentially improve your life.
Exactly, exactly. Now, mm, why paying for a car with cash is best? Like I was reading, like once an article on car finance, and I got to learn that paying for a car with cash is the best options, one of the best options. So I wanted to ask why.
I don't agree with that. It depends on your situation, but I don't always agree with that. It's like I said to you before, no one size fits all.
Exactly.
Some people think that it's the best option, and the person that obviously wrote the article that you read thinks it's the best option.
Mm,
Um, I'm a bit impartial,
mm,
because, like I said, I've sold that many cars now that I know that there's no one thing. Your situation will be different to my situation, so I can't say to you, yes, buy your car cash, and
mhm,
you'll be sitting there thinking, well, I've got this cash here, but I want to start my business, and if I start my business, I'm gonna need my cash. So, but I need a car as well.
mm,
So, which one is it? Is that, do I buy a car or do I go? Do you know what I mean? But then there'll
mm,
be someone that retired and they've got a bunch of cash sat there, and they don't know what to do with it, and it's going to be the last car they ever buy.
mm.
So them buying a car cash makes more sense than yourself. You
Exactly.
see what I'm saying? So
Mm,
because if you can take a load of cash and start a business that's going to be generating you £3,000 a month,
mm,
why would you take all that money and put it into a car that's going to be costing you to tax, insure,
mm.
maintain, and
Yeah,
it's going to depreciate by, so by the time it depreciates as well, it's probably going to costing you close to £1,000 a month. So
yeah.
you could either buy the business, which makes you 3,000, or buy the car, which is going to cost you 1,000 or more. So I know which one I'd go for. So it just depends on, like I said, the situation. A lot of people that say they're buying car cash. There's a lot of advice out there from people that have never worked in the industry, and that's a bit
Mm,
frustrating for me. It's
mm,
consumers making decisions, so it doesn't make sense. You're telling me what was best for you.
mm.
You're not able to give me a rounded opinion. Um, but yeah, buying cars cash, and you said it yourself. The cars depreciate all the time. The minute you start driving it, they depreciate. So let me ask you something. If I said to you, give me £10,000 of your money for me to hold it, and then you give it to me, and the second you give it to me, I set alight £1,000 of it. I just set it on fire, and you're watching it burn. You wouldn't give me the 10 grand anyway, but you definitely wouldn't give me the 10 grand if you knew as soon as you give it to me, I'm gonna set £1,000 of it on. You wouldn't do
Mm.
it. But
Exactly.
people think that buying cars cash is just the greatest thing to do, but
Mm,
it's the same thing.
mm.
As soon as you turn the engine on, you're burning your money, um,
Exactly.
and that money can be invested and can grow if you put it somewhere else.
Mm,
And that's kind of one of the main things we promote
mm.
within the business, is just to be a bit smarter with what you're doing with your money as far as buying cars.
Yeah. And I also think that, like there is a bit of that element of, like coolness related with it. Because I have seen, like YouTube videos all around with like buying a Lamborghini Huracan in 200,000 pounds cash. Videos like these, like they go and flow around the internet all the time, and they get a lot of views. So I get, like there might be an element of coolness to it as well. A bit of a point of flexing
So
maybe.
say that. What were the videos? You can make £200,000 cash.
No, the videos is like buying a Lamborghini with cash, with like the guys full
Oh,
with a
okay,
suitcase
yeah,
of
yeah,
cash.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those videos all around the internet with 10 million views, 15 million views. So people get influenced
Mhm.
by them as well. I have seen it.
Why would you do that? Like, the people that can afford to go and buy a car cash, they're not buying cars cash. They're
Mm,
leasing their cars, and they're they're financing their cars and they're spreading the cost, and they're taking that 200 grand and they're buying Bitcoin at the dip because they know that it's going to go and skyrocket, or they're buying stocks and shares and they're making their money grow. They're not buying Lamborghinis. It's
Mm.
just ridiculous. But like you said, it gets the views and people are being influenced, and it's really bad when you think about it because a lot
Yeah.
of money, because they're not houses, and the housing market, and the credit crunch and the big madness that we had in 2008, was it?
Yeah. Eight.
The yeah, that was a big thing, but the cars aren't much far behind.
Mm.
It's just because they're not as expensive as the house. It can have detrimental effect on people's livelihoods, and especially the more expensive they're getting, because technology is getting more advanced and you're getting like electric
Mm.
cars and whatnot. Now cars are getting more expensive and they are costing people more money. So bad advice can really ruin your situation.
Exactly. And like cars are basically a liability unless you like buy
100%.
buy a car which is a limited edition car, and they appreciate in value in future. Like some of these Ferraris and all, they appreciate in the value in future because they are limited edition. But they are like very limited cars. The general cars that we get to see on a daily basis, they are just going to depreciate, not appreciate.
You're like trainers. You can
Yeah.
buy trainers that are limited edition. You can get these Yeezy that are only X amount of made, and but they're few and far between. Majority of your Air Force Ones is, if you buy them and you take them, you walk down the road in them. That's it. You can't
Mm.
take them back. They're not worth anything. No one's gonna buy them off you for more. It's no different with a car.
Exactly.
They they're made to be used.
Mm.
That's what they are there for. They're made to be used. They're not an asset. They're definitely a liability.
Mm. Now, like, can you explain the whole process of like how the process of car buying grew, like how the service actually works, the whole process from the starting to the end?
Yeah, so you're likely to see one of our adverts on social media.
Mm.
Um, and from there you'd fill in an inquiry form. And then from the inquiry form, kind of go through a process internally where we end up assigning your account to one of our sales team,
Mm.
and they'll contact you and they'll discuss the requirements you have. So it's like a consultation. So what car you want, how much you want to spend, what's your credit profile look like, do you have a deposit, do you have a part exchange, etc. Once they've uh, got all that information from you, they'll then start sourcing the vehicle for you, where
Mm.
they'll put together a finance package with a number of vehicles, and they'll send you over the details. Usually on WhatsApp, they'll send you pictures of the cars,
Mm.
and tell you how much they'll cost. So they'll quote you.
Mm.
Once you found what you're happy with, you'll then be put through the finance application process.
Mm.
You'll get accepted. Once you're accepted, there's some paperwork to sign, an order form to sign, and then that's it. You pay a deposit. You pay your deposit on the day of delivery, and the car's delivered to you. Um, it's pretty straightforward. It's all done with you speaking to one person as well. It's all done from you over the phone, so from the comfort of your own home,
Mm.
etc. So it's a lot easier than having to walk around. And the thing is, we can shop with several different cars. So
Mm.
whereas if you're doing it yourself, you have to go to, if you're looking at four different cars, you probably have to go to four different dealerships.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, you can get four different quotes on your phone, and that's it. You won't have to do anything other than check your WhatsApp.
Mm. Pretty simple. Yeah. Easy.
Very simple. We try and keep it as easy as possible because that's what people want in this day and age, right?
Yeah.
They don't even want to go to McDonald's anymore. They want to go Uber Eats and get stuff
Mm.
delivered. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
They want to get it home delivered.
Exactly. Everything home delivered. So,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. It works. I've been able to build a business off it.
Yeah. Now, I came across this term while reading an article on finance, PCP, personal contract purchase. But like I did not understand it. So, like, can you explain like what it is? PCP, personal contract purchase.
Yeah. So basically, with the way that the industry was changing, the cost of buying a car on hire purchase was becoming more expensive. And also people were changing their cars more frequently.
Mm.
So the motor trade come up with this new scheme, I think is the best way to call it, is
Mm.
where you offset some of the cost of the car to the end, like a balloon payment,
Mm,
and then making the payment of the car into three parts. So you got an optional deposit, then you got your monthly payments in the middle, and at the end you got a balloon payment, um, which automatically reduces the monthly payment. So if you got a 10 grand car,
mm,
but 4 grand of it is going to be on a balloon payment, you only have to pay back the extra £6,000
mm,
across the deposit and the monthly payments with some interest on top.
mm,
Um, but what happens is at the end you have the option to change the car, so you don't have to pay the balloon payment. So um, you can pay the you can part exchange the vehicle.
mm,
Be a settlement figure from the finance company, which you then give to the dealership, and the dealership will pay the settlement figure. And if you have any equity in the car, you can then use that as a deposit for your next car. And also, you have the option of just selling the car to a car buying service, for instance. And then what they'll do, they'll pay off the finance company. They'll give you any equity, and you can just walk away, or you can just hand the car back to the finance company and walk away completely and treat it like a lease. So yeah,
mm,
PCP is a bit new. More and more people are going towards it though. And like I said, people like to change their cars every few years. They don't want the
mm,
headache of dealing with an old car. And with these cars as well, it's not like before where you can jack it up on your drive and start changing things around in the engine. You got to plug these things in. They're computers at the
mm.
end of the day. This is before the electric ones even really come into play. They
Yeah.
are computers. You need to be able to know exactly what's happening under the hood to be
Mm,
able to fix it.
mm,
And most people they don't really care to understand all that stuff, so they just want to get in the car and drive. And changing the car, obviously there's a fashion, there's new technology.
mm,
These manufacturers keep bringing out new shapes and
mm,
facelifts and everything like that, so people are trying to keep up as well with that sort of thing. So PCP works, for what the consumerism world we're in at the moment. It works.
mm. Yeah. And like you need the like service professionals which are like actually certified by company to work upon these cars. Like they are not simple enough, like that you can just pop the hood and start working on it.
No, there used to be a time when you could do that. You just have
Yeah,
mechanics that will sit in their driveway. You can't do that no more. You need to have a computer to tell you what's wrong with the car. They don't
exactly.
call them mechanics anymore. They're engineers now,
Mm,
and technicians.
mm,
Um, and yeah, some people just can't work out what's wrong with the car because the computer's not telling them. And it's just how it is. It's just it just gets a bit messy. So yeah, therefore they just decide to leave it alone and not really mess about with having the car for too long.
yeah. Now, can you explain this term as well? Like the term is PCH, personal contract hire. I read it
Yes.
along with PCP. Like what is
Have
it?
you have you heard of leasing before?
Yeah, like you lease a car. I've heard it. I heard the term.
Yeah, so PCH is basically leasing, personal contract hire. So it's
Mm,
exactly the same. You pay for your monthly payments, you
mm,
pay deposit, you pay monthly payments for a certain amount of time on a
mm,
brand new car, and then at the end of it, you hand the car back,
mm.
providing there's no damage, and you stick to the mileage that you agreed at the beginning of the agreement. Then you'll be fine. There'll be no extra charges. So yeah, PCH is just another term really for leasing.
Okay. Now, like, do you ever faced competition from someone who might be building something similar to you while you were building car buying guru?
Yeah, loads. And then one company just came out of nowhere with a big bag of money and totally dominating the market right now. Not even just what in my area, but motor trade in general. Cinch are just absolutely killing it in the UK. Um, so yeah, Cinch are big players in the game, and they're essentially um, the same as us
Mm,
in a lot of ways. But we've just got some unique bits, and we've got some stuff up our sleeves, and hopefully we got a multi-billion-pound investor around the corner that's looking to inject some money so we can take the market share off Cinch. But yeah, but there's other companies similar sizes to us that are around as well. Like I said, at first there wasn't many,
mm,
or at least there wasn't many we was aware of, and I think more and more people started realizing what we realized, and it kind of has
mm,
become a bit of a trend now.
mm. They might have, like saw that this is a money making opportunity business, so might as well jump in while there are
Yeah, I
few
mean, it's not,
competitors.
yeah, it's not rocket science. I'll be honest. So
Exactly.
it's more about the service and how you can be different as far as providing a good service as opposed to the
Mm,
actual service itself. If that makes sense.
yeah. Now, like, what are the challenges that you faced while you were building Car Buying Guru?
Red tape. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of rules, regulations. It's a bit of a clique. So the motor trade's a small world.
Mm,
You need to be in with the right people to be able to build and develop. And also financial constraints. It's an expensive business.
mm,
A lot of money moves around in the motor trade, and you need to be able to um, keep up, basically.
mm, yeah. And like, do you plan on expanding your range of vehicles to like two-wheelers and all?
No,
Mm,
you mean like bikes?
yeah, bikes, motorcycles.
No, no, motorcycles. Yeah. Do you know what? It's not even that easy to get in the motorcycle industry. Even though you think it was quite close, they're very separate.
Mm,
They're very, well, from what I've seen anyway. I've never really even ventured near the motorcycle side of the trade.
mm,
But yeah, it's not something I'll be getting involved in. I can't even ride the thing, let alone sell one.
yeah.
I don't like I don't like bikes.
Mm.
Not enough wheels.
Understandable. Now, like, which countries do you plan on expanding to in the future?
I've not really thought about that. I'm lying
Mm,
actually. I have thought about Dubai because I just want to be in Dubai sometimes. Um, but yeah, probably somewhere like Dubai, somewhere where people they happy to pay for a good service. Um, but you never know. I'm still very much focused on conquering the UK.
mm,
Um, and once that's done, then I think we can start looking at like replicating in other countries. But if I have, if I'm being totally honest, I have thought about Dubai because I got a friend that lives in Dubai, and
mm,
he's. I just want to be out. I just want to be out there chilling with him, and a reason to go and see him every other month.
mm. So you want to dominate one country at a time, and the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
one
yeah.
is Dubai. Perfect.
Potentially, yeah. Just see what happens. I mean, I think one thing that the last 12 months has shown us is that nothing's guaranteed, and you got to kind of
Exactly.
take things a day, So
Mm,
at the moment, we need to focus on what we're doing here, and then
mm,
maybe Dubai next, and then after that, the
yeah,
whole world. You never
yeah.
know.
Now, what are your future plans with Car Buying Guru? Like, you are planning on expanding to Dubai in future, and what are some of the other plans?
We got an app that's going to be released very, very soon.
Mm,
We've got the testing happening this weekend, I hope. And then will be released on both Android and Apple.
mm,
It's going to be like a finance calculator. You're going to be able to get your book your services with us, starting locally in Birmingham and then expanding.
mm,
So you'll be able to maintain your vehicle and get tips on buying your vehicle, special offers through our partners. So we've
mm,
got a lot happening with the app. Um, more publications, like I said, the ebook coming out,
mm,
and more stuff like that. Building the team. So we got a new office opening in Jewelry Quarter purely for sales. Jewelry Quarter, that's in central Birmingham in the
mm,
UK,
yeah.
and that's a purely a sales office,
Mm,
just to allow for us to have more people to help more people. Um, what else we got going on? Those are the main things. And
mm,
that's just within the next 6 to 8 weeks. All that's going off.
mm,
So after that, can catch up and I can tell you even more. But that's this is stuff we've been working on. I mean, the app we've
mm,
been working on for years. The sales office has been something I've wanted to do for some time as well.
yeah.
Um, so these are things that are happening now that have
Mm,
been going on for a while. So once they've finally done them, we'll probably look onto the next phase after that.
yeah.
Have a big headquarters will be one thing that we're looking to do as well. But
Mm,
but yeah, one things I can tell you, or the couple things I can tell you is expansion of the team,
yeah.
um, the release of the app, the
Mm,
releases the books, and
mm,
just other little bits and pieces like that around the app. So you'll be able to access special offers and whatnot and new services through the app as well.
mm. Great, man. Great. I wish you all the success on these things.
Appreciate it.
And yeah. Now, what would be your advice to someone who plans on who plans on building something just like you are building, car buying guru?
Have patience.
Mm,
Don't give up. My company was registered 4 years ago in like 2 weeks. So it's our coming up to our fourth birthday, and we're still working to get to where we are
mm,
now. Feel like we're turning the corner, but I felt like we've been turning the corner for like the last 18 months.
mm,
Um, it's a long corner, let's say that. But enjoy it as well. Like I've had to learn how to enjoy it. I've had to learn how to trust the process and not be
mm,
too hard on myself, or not be too focused on the end goal, and try and understand what's actually happening and
mm,
appreciating what I've achieved so far. So yeah, they're the main things I'll say to anybody that's trying to build something. Just keep pushing, don't
mm,
give up, and yeah, just keep dreaming, keep working.
mm, mm. Now, do you have any parting words for the audience?
Yes, that's one of a few things. So Rishab, thank you for having me.
Mm,
Check out our website, carbuyingguru.co.uk. Check out the Car Buying Guru app, which will be available to download by the time you're seeing this, I would imagine. So
mm,
just search Car Buying Guru on the Play Store and on the Apple. Is it Apple Store? App Store?
yeah.
I'm an Android user, so yeah. So Google Play or the App Store. Download the app, have a play with it.
Mm,
Give us some feedback on Instagram at Car Buying Guru UK. You can
yeah.
contact me directly at Mr. Gavin Cameron.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, just keep supporting podcasts like this one,
mm,
um, content like this one, giving you guys value, and um, keep working, keep dreaming.
yeah, man.
That's my new saying. Keep
Mm,
working, keep dreaming.
mm.
You'll make it.
Loved doing this, man. Loved having you as a guest. It was great. Like
Appreciate
you provided a
it.
lot of value, and like I have some more knowledge in my knowledge bank now regarding car finance
Yeah,
as well.
good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. It's good
yeah,
practice. I appreciate it.
exactly,
Appreciate it.
exactly. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
You take
Bye.
care.
Yeah. Take care.